a picture of it. Get a pan underneath it.
You guys can see that. That's got some fluids leaking out of it. All right, nothing like cutting on a new dozer with 11 hours. All right, we got a special project today. We got special helpers. We got Tucker, Dad's here. Kevin's over doing something next door. What we got here? A bulldozer. You guys know I mess with a lot of 850Js. We've got another 850J in here. It's actually kind of special. You guys can see it doesn't have very many hours on it. What's the matter with it, Tucker?
Track's locked up.
Track's locked up. So you guys, I'll put a little clip in here. We actually had to pick this thing off a trailer. It was sold as an Inop. It has got some engine issues. You want to go up here and check the oil on it? So this thing's like a 2010. It has 11 hours. That's not a mistake. 11 engine hours on it. So this thing's pretty much brand new. It's been sitting. Go up here and check the oil on it.
I can tell it's already been exploded.
You got a pan under it? Because it's going to come out.
We'll just get a little quick. Turn the light on, Tucker. Somebody put it on there tight, didn't they?
Damn, Kevin.
Oh, you're not putting it out? Kevin tell you go get your purse. They must have not want it to leak.
Bring the picture along.
Oh,
Show the picture of it. Get a pan underneath it.
You guys can see that. That's got some fluids leaking out of it.
Slide your pan way under it.
So the engine's full of diesel
Wherever's
fuel.
dripping out.
Tucker will probably drain the oil out of it next. The engine is full of diesel fuel, as you guys can see, plumb full to the top. For whatever reason, I don't know. There's only a couple places you can get diesel fuel in the oil. We'll try to explain that here in a bit. But I'll put a couple clips in here of us actually unloading this thing off the trailer. You guys can take a peek of that. We're going to get the panels off and get the oil drained. Alright, got the engine covers off. I'll show you guys the hours right there. You guys can see it says 11.8 hours. So I see cans of starting fluid laying in there, down in here. Tucker's actually underneath. There's actually 2 cans of starting fluid down there. Tucker's draining out the so-called engine oil. I hear it draining. Sounds like water, Tucker.
Yeah, it looks like water.
Are you peeing?
So these are a common rail engine.
Yeah, it's super thin.
What's it look like?
Is it black or clear or what?
No, it's like
It's all diesel fuel.
Brown.
That's red and
It's not diesel, that's all I gotta say.
It's diesel. It's
green diesel fuel.
on-road diesel. It's old smelling. So these have electric lift pump inside a fuel filter housing. So they're not like the older ones that had a mechanical fuel pump where fuel could go into the engine oil. So that can't be a source. They have a high pressure fuel pump here, which that seal could be bad, sending diesel fuel into the timing cover there. But I noticed the paint's off these. This thing's dusty. It's been sitting in the desert. Paint's broken off all these injector lines here. So they've had fuel issues getting it started. for whatever reason. That pump can be bad, but the problem is when you crack these lines, there's a steel tube that goes through here into that injector, and if that steel tube gets knocked loose or turns or spins, I think that's going to dump oil into the head and into the crankcase oil, if I'm not mistaken. So that could be a possibility, or it's in that pump. So Tucker probably drain the rest of that out, however many hundreds of gallons it's in there. So if it was coming out up here,
Yeah, you dropped it, son.
you guys can see there's still diesel fuel up in there. So yeah, it was plumb full up to here. So hopefully they didn't get it running and it's tearing your bearings up. We'll probably take this oil filter out and cut it open, see what it looks like inside there. So hopefully it wasn't running. If it was, it's probably not good. So
Watch out, fuel coming down.
there's not much engine oil in there.
It don't look like engine oil.
No. Alright, got the oil filter cut open here, and it's actually looking really good. I don't see anything at all in here, so that could be from my cut-off operation.
Well, yeah, but it could be from,
It's a brand new motor. There's
yeah, you're going to have some of them new motor.
that silver stuff's in the stuff here too, that screen. We don't see anything in there, which that's a good sign. I bet they didn't get it going. Hopefully.
Didn't bend any rods.
So yeah, hopefully the rods ain't bent in the thing with all that diesel fuel in there. But yeah, that's a good sign so far. That's a spring out of there. Tucker's still draining 80 gallons of diesel fuel out of there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take a nap.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is inside the motor's clean. I'll probably do a little bit of cleaning here, get some of this dust and dirt off here, and we'll see what's going on. Look, Tucker.
Rusty,
Dirty.
around the neck, been setting no fuel in it.
Tucker's checking the fuel. We still got about 12 inches of fuel or better in it. So, how many gallons have you drained out of it?
Too many.
Too many? Well, he's filled a 17-gallon pan up. We're on another one. I'd say we're pushing 25 or so.
You're almost 8 on that.
Yeah. It had about 25 gallons of fluid in it. So I noticed the cab bolts are out here. If you guys have been watching our videos, these cabs tilt up. I'm going to go ahead and tilt this up to the first stage here and see what's going on under there. Make sure that we don't have any surprises for sure. So. Alright, up under the cab, I don't see nothing severely disconnected at the moment.
45 gallons.
Probably down there.
There's access on down in it.
Sometimes I've seen them, they'll take stuff apart, it pumps apart. Stuff's loose, leaking, gone, missing.
Maybe leave it open.
Not super bad.
No. How can't be me? What, have 12 hours?
11 hours.
11 hours?
Might blow it out a little bit,
Yeah.
Tucker. Alright, Mr. Tucker's taking fuel filters off. We're going to start with the easy stuff first. They've never been off since, I think this thing's a 2000 and, what it says up there, 2009. It was shipped in November 2009, so you got your pan over here, Tucker. These things have 2 fuel filters on them. They actually have 4 fuel filters. You guys see there's 2 up there and there's 2 down here. So the 2 in the back are what they call jet fuel dosing filters. They set these things up, the Marine Corps did, to run on jet fuel. So those 2 filters back here actually come pre-filled with oil to lubricate the fuel that goes in them. We'll actually bypass those. I'll show you guys how to do that here in a little bit. All the civilian tractors just have these 2 filters on them. Those are very expensive and they're really hard to get. John Deere usually doesn't keep them in stock, so
This one just comes off the same way, right?
that one,
Or doesn't it have
yeah, it's got a canister type in. It's like this here. It's got a, you should be able to loosen it there a little bit. So I'll show you guys how to bypass those. We can do it without any special lines or anything. So, all right, Tucker got the fuel filters on. We actually took off the fuel supply. You guys can see there's no fuel coming out of the fuel supply. So that means we could have a clogged line in the tank. Who knows? Probably get some air. We'll blow back in there because you guys checked fuel. You had plenty of fuel in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get some air, blow back in there, and see if we get good. It's just barely trickling out. You always got to check the simple things first. That still does not explain why the engine's full of fuel, which, for all we know, some young kid could come over and filled it full of fuel and didn't know where the fuel tank was. So
I don't
who knows?
understand.
Does that look like a fuel tank?
No, definitely not. I don't
Believe me, I've
understand.
seen everything on these things. So we'll get some air hose and blow back here. All right, you got that turned back on? You hold a rag over it and blow back on. I got all the way out, it's on. Put a rag over it.
Either shut off in there.
Or the end of it?
Yeah, there could be. Hang on a second. I think it's only shut off. Yeah, it's on.
Now wrap it so it don't trail over.
Just keep pulling it.
Keep blowing.
Yeah, well, fix the shit on the side.
All right. Now watch it. You may have fuel coming back at you. Pull it back off there and see what's
Pull
up.
the hose out. You may have to shut it off.
Nothing coming out, huh? You got it on?
Yeah. There it goes. But that's
Is it
all.
running? No, it should be pouring out of there. I may put air in the tank and blow back towards you. We may have a line issue or something. We need to chase that line and make sure we don't ink or anything in it.
I'll take this.
All right, so we got, take that line loose. We got good fuel coming through here now. So I told you I was going to bypass these two jet fuel filters. So basically the stainless steel braided line that comes from the fuel pump housing here, we're going to take it loose here and loop it right back around here. So basically all they were doing is putting oil in that fuel, like I said earlier. So this steel line, all it has to do is come right back and go right in here, and it's golden. So we'll take this loose up here, Tucker. I think it's bigger, like 7/8 or something.
Got it. And you're gonna put it back down in here?
Yeah, this is gonna come over there. Got a hold of it. Sometimes you gotta bend this a little bit.
That's just leaking out like crazy. You're still? Yeah.
So we just took that, looped that back around in there. That's like a civilian application. And we'll take this line off. It comes out the other side of the filters, put it in there, and just make a complete loop out of it. So,
Do you want to tighten that or?
sure. All right, so we got those lines on. What Tucker's doing right now, he's cracking the. So you got a primary and secondary fuel filter. He's actually cracking where it comes out of the secondary and goes to the high pressure fuel pump over there.
That's still too big.
Probably 13/16. He's gonna crack that, and we're gonna make sure that we got
Well,
good.
no, the 7/8 is bigger now.
Good fuel going to it. Normally you don't have to do this. These things will self-bleed yourselves out. I'm just wanting to see if we got fuel going over there for right now. But if you change these filters on these, you don't have to fill them up. You can just cycle the key a couple times. Turn the key on, this electric fuel pump should run for about 45 seconds and it should shut off.
Good.
So
That's good, that's good.
just put it back on there loosely,
Yeah,
a couple
that's
threads.
Good. That's good right there.
So I'm going to turn the key on. We should hear this pump buzzing right here, Tucker. You hear it running?
Fuel out.
Did you turn this back on here?
Yeah.
Yep. Hear it getting fuel now?
Yeah, pull it out, see a little bit, see how much it's spraying. Just pull the hose out like that.
Nope.
Let the
You're
air
good.
out of it.
No, it'll cycle it out.
Well, okay.
Let me shut that off and make sure you didn't blow it O-ring out. Hang on. Make sure the O-ring's still in there. You didn't blow it out. It's in the pump side there. You're still in there, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yep. Alright, let's go ahead and put that back on there. Tighten that up. I'm going to turn the key back on again. And then we got the oil pan still open. We're going to see if fuel is coming out somewhere inside there. So We got the key back on. You guys might go hear that fuel pump running. We're watching the, we got the oil pan open. We're watching the fuel drain out the bottom of it and see if it gets any faster. That fuel pump should shut off when it builds pressure up. If it doesn't, I'm seeing it run faster.
How's that?
See it going faster?
How does that work?
Because there's a leak. It's dumping fuel in there somewhere.
Oh, really?
I mean, I don't know if you guys probably can't see in the camera, but the
Oh, it's
fuel,
picking up down there
yeah,
now.
it's flying. So
It's
we
picking
gotta
up.
figure out where that's dumping in at.
Are you gonna cap that off there then?
Yeah, we'll cap that.
Got
So
a
what
plug?
Tucker's doing, we're taking, you probably take the other end loose. We're going to take the feed line that comes out of the high pressure pump and goes to the fuel rail to the injectors. We're going to cap that off and then turn the fuel pump again and see if we got fuel still coming out. That means their seal's probably bad on our high pressure pump. If it doesn't leak out, that means we've got a leak from that fuel rail and injectors up that way. So, well, Tucker's got this line capped off here. And we got the key back on. Electric fuel pump's pushing fuel into that high pressure pump and she's gushing big time. So that means that high pressure pump is leaking. You know what that means?
That's
Somewhere
leaking.
in there,
It's bad.
So
going through the timing.
yeah, at least we know it's not in the fuel rail and injectors. So somewhere in that high pressure pump, I think we can pull off that little pump on the front of there is the fan drive pump. We can pull it off and probably see fuel gushing in the front of there if I'm guessing. So we'll probably do that next. She's really running now.
Yeah, got it all.
So yeah, we'll pull off that pump on the front of the engine. That should allow us to see that front gear. There's a big timing cover in there and a gear set.
Do we need to take their hose and blow around that? some
I
more?
did earlier because I figured I'd be taking it off. So
What do you need to?
I think that's Allen wrench.
Hand or red? Whatever in the.
All right, I got the pump off here. I actually got the accessory drive gear out of there. Tucker's going to turn the key on. We'll see if we got fuel gushing out of here. You guys can see that little gear there in the screen. Oh yeah, she's pouring out around the shaft. You guys see that there? Definitely the problem. Go ahead and shut her off. You guys see that coming out, little polar hole there? Seal is definitely bad in that, so at least we know what that problem is. Hopefully the motor is not locked up. It did turn over a little bit. I don't know if the cylinders are full of fuel. It could have bent connecting rods. We don't know any of this stuff till we get this pump fixed, resealed.
Let it set overnight.
I'm gonna let it set and let all that juice fuel run out. And they probably never ever got it going because if that thing wouldn't build up enough PSI to crack those injectors over, it wouldn't start. So thankfully, hopefully, but we'll get this off here and see what's up with it. All right, before we pull that off, this pump's actually a 3-piston pump. It's got 3 pistons in there. So it actually has to be timed to the engine. So I'm going to get that thing timed before we pull it off. You guys can see on the screen there, there's actually, there's 1, 2, 3 on there. You can see on the screen there, they got the 2 or 3 2s all lined up right there. So we've just got to get it lined up on one set of those, whether it's 1s or 2s. It's going to make it easier when I take it apart. I wouldn't have to do this right now, but when I put it back together, it's going to make it easier, I'm trying to say. So we're going to get those, try to turn those, we can get those up, see where those at, and we'll take that nut off. And then I've got most of the lines off that dude here. She should pull out the back here. Alright, we got the engine barring tool in there that actually drives on the flywheel. Tucker's cranking this dude over. We've got some fuel in the cylinders I can feel. So when it cranks up, it gets a little tight, and we can hear fuel squeezing out the bottom. So what he's trying to do, we're trying to get this thing spun around until we get that number 2 lined up with some number 2 on the gear, which you guys can see maybe. We've got a number 2 here and number 2 here, so she's starting to come around and line up. Tucker's going to make it here. Once we get those to line up, we'll take the pump out. That way she'll be timed for the new one. Well, actually, Dad called, and I actually got a used one on a motor over there, so we may try it first to make sure that that's all it is. We don't know the condition inside this motor. I don't think it's been running, but we don't know if they've been a rod or something cranking over the fuel. So Tucker's cranked it like over a revolution now, so we've got the fuel out of it. You're actually getting close here, bud. Let's see if the number 2's lining up. You're doing a fine job, you know that?
Yeah, it's pretty tiring.
Pretty tiring.
My knees are hurting too now.
We got knee pads.
You do.
Oh,
And you're sitting on it.
now I'm old. So close.
My shoulders are well.
You're almost there. You got the number 2. 222. A little bit more. Just half a crank. Whoa, you're good. Right there. You guys can see we got
Oh my.
that 2 lined up with the 2 2s on the fuel pump gear. Your arm tired?
Yeah, it definitely is.
Alright. I'm going to take that nut off and see if we can get this pump slid off here. Alright. You got the motor part quick, didn't you? So Dad actually brought a whole complete parts motor over. It's got hopefully a good high pressure pump on it. I think this engine, the bearings are spun on it. They may have tried to start it without oil. The military's good about draining fluids out of stuff when people get on them, try to start them. And I do that. But I think all the bearings and stuff spun in this one because it didn't get water in it. Cylinders and stuff look fine, but we've stole parts off at Rob Parts and whatnot. So you got a couple more bolts to pull out there.
3 altogether.
You need
I'm not sure.
the rest of them's 13 millimeter.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to take this one off there. I already pulled the gear off the front of here.
Loose here.
It's got those same little
Oh, right
2-2
here.
timing gears there, you guys can see.
Any extension or get out past it?
There's an extension on there. There's one more that goes in.
Get
See
you
right
out
here,
farther.
Tucker? There's one on the back side that goes there.
Probably put this on there. I think.
I'm going to get this one off. I still got to pull a gear on this one up here. I've got everything loose on it.
Yeah, that's all heat up.
Got the old one out. The seal's actually laying in there. It's like plumb gone. You guys can see that. Heat up there. That seal's looking good. This has come off a higher hour engine. I know it's probably $500-600, but it's kind of weird.
Got seat all around it.
Yeah, might be replaceable.
Yep.
I'll have to send it out to our friends at Area Diesel Service and have them go through that one. Get that one fixed up for next time. So I'm going to clean this off.
And it's still got elastic to it too.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, look, the seal still got.
I wonder if maybe a piston or something could be stuck in there and overpressurized something. I don't know how those work exactly, but
It's a radial piston pump. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
just like an airplane.
Yeah. Except 3-cylinder airplane.
All right, we're going to get that used one put back on there. All right, Tucker got the fuel filter back on there. Had to take it off, like I say, to turn the engine over. We did turn it over a couple more revolutions. It's all turning over free now. Hopefully got most of the fuel out of the cylinders. So he's going to turn the key back on there. We'll cycle that fuel pump air. I've still got this front cover off here, as you guys can see. We're going to make sure we don't have any leaks.
Oh, you gotta turn it
Yeah,
on.
go ahead. Gonna have to fill that filter full. I hear it going through a check valve. I don't see anything gushing yet. Don't see no leaks up here. Still dripping down there. That's just from cranking it over. It should be good. Alright, we got everything hooked up. Got the pump back on the front of there, belt on, alternator back on, all the lines on. So I think what I'm going to do is hook my computer up to it, and I can actually kill the fuel to the kill the power to the fuel system. Just crank it over like we're doing a compression test on it. That way we can crank the engine over, see if it's going to crank, and maybe get some oil pressure build up in it. That way it's not sending fuel. So we got fuel in the cylinders, hopefully to get the rest of it out of there. Like I say, we've turned it over about 3 times by hand, so we'll get the computer up here and get her hooked up and get it going. You know you got a brand new dozer when the shipping tag's still in it yet. Not even been used. From Georgia. Found some more cool paperwork I found in here. Usually never see this stuff. This is actually the invoice where they paid for this thing. I see the base tractor. This is in 2009, keeping mine $199,224. It's almost $200,000. That's not including all the options, Fan control, the grade control was $2,400. Price tag on it when it was new.
How much?
Well, $235,000 with the options. That's been
Two
12
today.
years. Yeah, it's double that.
Yeah.
They're almost a $500,000 now in 12 years. That's the government probably got a little extra discount too.
How many you buy? What, 600?
A bunch. Right there's another one, I think.
Well, 600 doesn't they gotta have buy?
Yep. It's $200 for the base tractor and then all the options on it. Alright, we're gonna get the computer hooked up. Alright, got the engine oil pressure pulled up here in the dash and I'm getting ready to do a compression test, so we're just gonna start the engine or crank the engine over. It's not gonna send any fuel to it. Let's see what happens here. Not happy. Trying to start on diesel fuel. Trying to go. You what?
Got a lot in the head.
Yeah, it does.
You getting any oil pressure yet?
I don't know it. Is it diesel fuel?
It's pouring. Yeah, just pouring out of the exhaust. Hang on.
Diesel fuel is?
Yeah, here's just a spring running. Get a rag like that on the other side. Oil and diesel fuel. Carbon pits running out the side.
Got some of those pig mats. It's all coming out of the heads. Pig mat. They're right there, big roll. You just walk past them.
Put it on the end.
I'm sure it's gonna puke a bunch of crap out. That'll be good. We're gonna have a
Break
bunch
one
of
of
crap
them over.
come out of here.
Huh? Wipe that off. Give them a fire tank.
Try this again.
Find one. Do what? Getting oil?
Not yet.
You're getting it cleaned out, aren't you?
The good thing is we've got pretty equal on our compression. I'm gonna try it again here.
I cut off something around that.
Okay, I'm gonna crank it over again here. A little bit of oil pressure. Getting a little bit now, yeah. Got about 8 psi. I may do that one more time.
How many is it supposed to go to?
We got 92, 92, 100, 98, 98, 97. That's just a relative cranking on it, so. Cylinders all sound good. I'm gonna do that one more time.
Yeah.
And then we'll try to fire it.
You want to put this belt back on here, or is that compressor locked up?
The compressor's turning. We got a new compressor we put on. I probably need to pull the freon out. So let's mess around. That compressor clutch, somebody's took it off. It's locked up or something. We'll make sure. We'll make.
I mean, we still put it back together though. We're running with the fan. Now,
Yeah,
right?
we'll make sure that this thing works here first.
Yeah. So you don't have any. Oh, you ain't got your water pump?
Yeah,
running,
it's
or you
it's gear driven. The only thing you don't have is the alternator, really.
Alternator, yeah, yeah. So it's nothing to heat up.
I'm gonna do this compression crank over test here one more time.
Cleaning it out up here.
Yeah, I got about 16 psi that time. Compression's all even on the cylinder, so that's good. Alright. Are we ready? You got anything coming out? Did it quit coming out?
Yeah, it's quit coming out. You blow it out.
Watch for leaks on that side, Tucker.
Leaks from where? Just the exhaust there?
Anything leaking, spraying. I'm gonna start her up.
Turn the fuel on now.
Yep. I'll go back to the screen, pull up the oil pressure one more time. So
Oh, that's look wet from rail. Is that
that's from brake cleaner. Got 41 pounds of oil pressure. Any leak? Got 50 pounds. Alright guys, may see I got me a fuel can up here. That fuel tank's kind of dirty. So we got it bypassed right now. It was actually not getting enough fuel to the pump. So I got my suction line hooked up to the pump. We got a return back here. So I mentioned something earlier about that AC compressor. For some reason somebody took the magnetic clutch off of it. I don't know why. It's making noises. But Tucker's going to replace the whole AC compressor. We keep new ones in stock. We're sucking the Freon out of it right now. I sucked out about 4.5 pounds. I know it hold about 5.5 when they're new, so we're just going to change that whole thing out. Say the clutch that went up there, I can show you on this new one, is missing for some reason. How you doing there, bud?
I got the bottom one in there, so there's not much.
There you go. For whatever reason, there's no clutch or wires on it. So all this here is missing. I don't know if that come flying off there or what, but we're going to get that replaced and get the belt all back on there, and I should be able to take this thing outside and run it, and we'll get that tank cleaned up. Alright, Tucker got the new AC compressor on. Once we get it over there, I'm going to drain the rest of the fuel out of the tank over the pit. We'll pull a vacuum on it, get the Freon back in there, make sure that works. Well, I'm going to fire up here and see if it actually moves. Turn this key switch on, let it suck some fuel up out of the jug first. And now I got 5 psi on the fuel pressure, so it's more like it. You ready?
Yeah.
fun time, right? You get to clean up all your mess.
So far.
So fun. Well, the dozer run pretty good. Surprisingly, he says. Me too. Got it pulled over the pit. We're sucking the old fuel and crap out of the back. Sucking a vacuum on the AC here. Once it gets done, we'll put 5.5 pounds of Freon on there. These military tractors have a larger air conditioner in them than the civilian ones. They take a couple more pounds of Freon, so I'm sucking the fuel out of there. Probably in the morning we'll get the hot water pressure washer. That thing's got like a 1/2 inch of sludge in the bottom. It's not super rusty, it's just dirt, dust. I don't know. I'm guessing somebody's took the fuel cap off this thing, and it's set there in this dusty desert environment it's sitting in. Dust has gotten that tank, so that's the only thing I can figure. We're gonna get that all cleaned out tomorrow. Other than that, things running good, but I'm gonna take it and run it around quite a bit more tomorrow. You guys notice it's still smoking out that exhaust and stuff there. It's got that oil residue and stuff in there. And we're gonna change the engine oil in it again, maybe a couple more times, just to make sure we got all that flushed out. And we'll check the filter, make sure there's nothing in there. It's like I say, we don't know the history of this thing, so it did just turn over 12 hours, so it's pretty much getting wore out. So, but yeah, we'll get all that done, and hopefully be back tomorrow and have this guy all percolating 100%. You guys notice it is missing the glass up here too. Glass blew out on it for shipping, so I'll have Tucker take that into town tomorrow when he goes back to school. Get a new glass cut for that. It's just regular glass. A lot of people ask me if these have armored glass. These do not. They're just regular cabs. So they do make an armored version of the cab. We don't get that stuff, of course, but you guys can see it's still even got the paint on the manifold and stuff there and turbo yet, so it's pretty cool. We'll probably pull the rest of the belly pans off, tilt the cab up, have Randy wash all that dust out. It's been sitting in the desert, like I say. It's just collected a lot of dirt, but you guys can see there is no hours on that thing whatsoever. It's crazy. A lot of people ask, oh, it's a big government waste having something like this sitting around and never used it. You guys got to remember, they got to be ready for anything that may pop up tomorrow, whenever. So they got to have equipment on the ready, whether it's bulldozers, jets, tanks, or whatever. They can't run them all. This machine's unfortunately been sitting for a while, but that's just the way it is. They got to have stuff ready. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So a lot of people say, hey, it's a waste. And it is somewhat, but you got to be prepared. So, and it makes good equipment for me to buy and sell, and good for the end user. You guys can see it's just got a regular exhaust muffler on it. No emissions whatsoever on this dude. So somebody's going to get a brand new dozer that's zero emissions for half the price pretty much of a new one. So I've got 3 or 4 of these in stock right now, so nothing this low. This is the lowest hour one I've ever had. So I've had, I think, 19 hours, a couple in the 20 hours. Most of them's usually in the 200 to 500 range. 1,000 hours is about most as we see. So cold? Cold? Burr. Did you get chilly up there, bud? Huh? You get her? So now what this machine's doing, it's actually sucking the Freon back out that's left in those little short hoses. So we're saving all the butterflies. Alright, we got that for today. Got all the fuel drained out. We'll probably get back at her in the morning and wash her. Tucker's got a little welding project over here, don't you?
I don't know.
You don't know.
You haven't told me what I'm doing.
Alright, got the old pressure washer. I've been washing around in the tank. Got the old hot seat running there with the heat going on. We got some heat going in this thing. We're at 158 degrees or so. We're getting her hot, boiling out. I had a bunch of dirt and crap in it, so getting her good and hot. I'm gonna fill it up a couple more times and flush it out. They want to let the hot seat do its thing. I'm gonna flush this out a couple more times, and we should be good to go. We'll get the fuel lines hooked back up, and I'd like to drive it around again. I got it warm yesterday, open thermostat, everything was fine on it. I want to get it warm again. Come in here and drain the oil out one more time, and we'll probably cut the filter open one more time on it, just to make sure there's no metal or anything in it. I feel real good about it. So there's no possible way that thing would have started with that high pressure pump not building any pressure. So I don't think he did any damage on that part of it. So, but yeah, we're gonna keep on keeping on here. All right, we're in deep water now, Randy. What'd you do? You guys can see we're missing the toolbox back here. I've been pressure washing this thing. This tank has some nasty varnish in it. We took the toolbox off. And we got plans. You guys can see I've got a big old square cut out there. My plan is to cut this out and get in there where we can wash that stuff. There's a baffle sitting in the center there. This thing it's got so much stuff in it, we'll never get it clean. I did find another option, maybe cleaning it. I had a bunch of this varnish. It's like a 1/2 inch deep in there. You guys probably can't see that. I've actually got some lacquer thinner over here. It is dissolving it. The problem is it takes like 100 gallons of lacquer thinner to do that, and that's going to cost me probably $1,000 or so real quick. So it's still hard to get all that crap out of there because there's no access plate on these tanks. So what I'm going to do here, and I don't know about this baffle. You guys can see it's welded through here. I've stuck a camera in there a couple times. It's hard to see. The baffle goes to the top of the tank, but I don't think it's welded up here. I think it's just welded on the sides. But I thought about cutting this square out first, but I think I'm going to go for it. Cut this whole thing out. That way Randy can get in and wash that out really good. And hopefully I can weld that piece right back in there and it will be fine. So we're going to get set up here and cut her out. Alright, got that cut out. That baffle must be welded because she's stuck here in the middle. We're going to try to pry that up and see if we can see what's going on in there. Yeah, smoky in there. Yeah. Go ahead and cut this. Alright, nothing like cutting on a new dozer with 11 hours. We're in there deep. You guys can maybe get in there and see what we're dealing with and why I did this. It's not rust, it's more varnish. You can see it's built up. I did get a new sending unit ordered coming, but there's a bunch of crap. Like a 1/2 inch deep. Varnish, dirt, mud, all up in there. So there's that center baffle. This is the other side over here, but Randy should be able to get all that cleaned out with the pressure washer. It's going to take a little time. You guys may be asking, why didn't we just take the whole tank off of it? And I do have a couple used civilian tanks, but they're a little bit different the way they mount. Problem is, you got to take the cab off. You got to take the transmission tank off over here, the hydraulic tank. All those systems have to be drained. And then you can get the tank out, and you still got to have a way to clean it. So you still have to get access to it. So what I'll probably do is cut a new piece of steel out, plasma cutter, and weld a new one back in there. We'll pressure test it and everything, make sure everything's good. But Randy's got a lot of washing ahead of you.
Yeah.
I think you can get most of that. You'll probably take a scraper back there and scrape on that too, Randy, but
Yeah. I got one there.
yeah. We'll let Randy do his magic. He's going to tilt the cab up, wash everything really good. We're still running on that jerry can over there, so we'll be good for that. He'll get her all washed up, then we'll bring her back in here and get that tank welded back up. You guys will never know what happened. How'd you do, Randy?
All right.
Well, this thing looks like brand new.
Yep.
All the paint's still in the turbo manifold. Yeah, I'll let her dry out. I'll look inside here. Did you get the fuel tank cleaned out?
Yeah. I believe so.
Looks like brand new machine in there.
May have to take, might be a few little things, but start it out the back.
Looking good, looking good. You see that hole there?
Why did you do
You were gone when I did that. Nothing like cutting in a brand new bulldozer. Randy got that cleaned out. I think we're going to take a wire wheel in there and get it all nice and shiny looking. And then we'll get us a patch and weld back on there. Think the body man can handle that?
Sure. Always keep her under half full.
Hey, we're doing things the right way. We're getting her clean. Hopefully somebody appreciates it. This is about the nicest one we've had. Looks like brand new in here. Randy had the cab tilted up, washed everything out in there. Looking good, looking good. You guys can still see it's got all the original coating on the bolts. Little plastic cap still on the grease fittings. Still paint there inside the sprockets. It's crazy. All right. Randy's been working in here feverishly. Got things looking a lot better, for sure. You spent, how many hours you spent on this thing?
Couple hours.
Oh, more than that. Well, we got her nice and shiny and clean looking now. It's going to be plenty good enough. So I think we found our problem where our fuel pump went bad to begin with. You guys see that right down there? That's actually a return line hole, and it is clogged up solid. I was just checking things, make sure everything's free before we seal this up. I got the sending unit out there too. So that thing is plugged up solid. I tried putting a punch in there and we was blowing air back. And it's not working. So we're gonna have to tilt the cab up and get to that line and see. We may need to replace that line or something like that. So I'm guessing that is what blew that pump up. So probably blew the seal out of that dude. Being it didn't have any return line juice, so we'll get that jacked up, get that line off there. We'll get all that stuff buttoned up. We got our jerry can back off there. I know the feed line's clear, we got it blown out, but we've got the return line here open and it won't blow back, so I'm guessing that's what blew that pump up. What do you think?
Yes.
I'd say so. It's always something. Just like playing detective, ain't it? Alright, you guys can see that dude is plugged up plumb solid. That's fitting going in the tank. I took the line off, it's plugged up plumb full too. Right here. Ain't nothing going through that, bud. So, we're going to clean this fitting out. I'm going to put that in some lacquer thinner, get the O-rings off here, clean it out. We're going to make a new hose, go from point A to point B. And say it, she'll be golden. I'm guessing that was our whole problem all along. Luckily, I put that jerry can on there, and we would have probably blew that other seal out. Alright, Kevin was changing oil here. I had him cut up the other oil filter. It's looking nice. There's nothing anywhere in there, so that's good news. So we did put a little bit of time on that thing while you guys were off running it. But all looking good for sure. Nothing anywhere. That's good news on that. I got a piece of steel. Randy got the tank all cleaned out. I got a new sending unit in it. I got a new piece of steel cut here for it. Got her all cleaned up, ground off. Show you guys inside that tank here. You see the new sending unit on it there, stuck in from the outside. Got our return line all on there, cleaned out, looking good. I think that's the last time this tank's gonna see daylight, so looking a lot better than it did. I'm gonna try to get this piece up here. Whoa, buddy. Went too far. Alright, I'm gonna get this thing tacked in here. Kevin's putting a new window in over there. Looking good. So I'll get this thing tacked in, all welded up nice and neat, and then we'll actually do a pressure test on this tank and make sure she's golden. Alright, got that welded in there. It's looking pretty good. Got her ground off. So what I'm going to do next is we've got a new strainer and stuff to go on the bottom of the tank. New fitting, all that stuff. I'm going to get that in there and get an air hose rigged up to that. And we'll put like 5 pounds of pressure or so in that tank. We'll get some soapy water and spray on that and make sure we don't have any leaks. Alright, that's what the strainer looks like. In case you guys are wondering, it's got like a pre-filter here. There's a shut-off valve there. Then that goes on out to the engine up there. So I just want to show you guys that before I stick that up in there. We'll put an air hose on here and put a little pressure in there. Alright, we got air going in the bottom of the tank. You guys can probably hear that there. I'm going to hold that rubber over there. Got like 5 pounds or so over it. So Randy's going to hold that there, and I'm going to spray some soapy bubbles on it. Maybe. Some soapy water you gotta push down. Yeah. Let's see there. We got some pressure on it. I don't see no bubbles. Must have done something, Randy. Try it there again. I think we got her. We'll put the fuel line back on her, put some fuel in it. I got a new strainer and cap, and we'll get her fired back up here. And Kevin will probably work his magic on that. It's real close, just a skim coat. New paint, and that thing will look like brand new. Nobody ever know it. Alright, got her all full of fuel, got the fuel cap, new strainer on it back here. We got engine oil back in it. We've cycled the key a couple times. Mr. Kevin's going to do the honors. Is that necessary? Like it?
You didn't put much fuel in it.
What's it showing?
Just barely off the needle.
Well, I only got 10 gallons. We'll put more in it.
Well, actually, it wasn't 10 gallon. That was
One wasn't
probably
quite
about
full.
8 gallon.
You know what the big reason it makes those tanks rust? Pro tip of the day. People don't keep them full. Then you get these guys that run these bulldozers all day long and they got hot fuel in there and they don't fill them up at night, and guess what happens? You got
I sweat.
condensation.
Yeah.
They sweat and they rust. So all these guys that don't fill their equipment up till the next morning fighting all this crap all the time.
Yeah.
That's why we always done it every night. Fill her up full as you can. It's only got a little bit to sweat and rust in there. So
Yeah.
well, most people don't do that. We never
That is
ever.
a pro tip of the day.
Pro tip of the day. I never had any fuel filter problems or anything like that. But I don't know why that tank wasn't full, because we know, well, maybe they run it 11 hours and run it out.
That's probably what it was.
I've never wrote 12 hours on an oil filter before, I don't think. It's pretty cool too. Well, I think it's going to get some side panels on it. Randy's going to wash a little bit of fuel off the engine there where he's blowing lines out. And we'll put her back together. Kevin's going to work a magic on it, touch up that fuel tank and a couple spots up here where it's thin, just from sitting outside forever. What do you think?
I'm still confused why you guys use your decelerator pedal instead of accelerator.
You want to sit there all day running a dozer, pushing down the pedal? It ain't it. It's not a case. Anyway, get some new decals on it. She'll be looking brand new. This thing will be for sale on our website. So, and then we've got 3 or 4 others sitting around right now. So hopefully you guys liked the video on this thing. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. Helps us out a lot, so we can keep on paying Kevin and Randy. We can keep on doing stuff like this for you. So.
That's right.
And if you want to, you might consider subscribing so you don't miss out on more stuff like this. So we're going to get this dude wrapped up. We appreciate you watching.